Hello there guys and welcome to official highlights of the Bahrain Grand Prix for IF1C Season 3. I'm JWF1 and I'm joined yet again by OTG X Gaming.
Yes, Joe, we are here in Bahrain. It's lovely weather, but as the night is about to descend upon us, we've got some great racers ready here to start off with the Bahrain Grand Prix. It's going to be a fantastic race.
Absolutely, especially last race. How can you top that off? So here in Bahrain, it's a night race and it's personally a favourite to every driver out there, isn't it?
Yeah, this is a track that everyone loves. It's a very open track with a very difficult left-hander, which is where you're going to see most of the mistakes coming from. It's free-flowing, it's got plenty of straights. Overtaking is very, very easy, but if your competitors get a good cut and a better exit out the corner, you could find yourself battling all the way into Sector 2, and that is not what you want to be doing. You could have some great tyre wear issues around here as well, so keep an eye out for a few punctures.
Exactly. Well, before we get anywhere, let's have a look at a lap of the track, and we're going to look at a lap with 4th place man Matt Orange. Let's have a look at a lap of the track then, with 4th place man Matt Orange. He's just started his lap then, as he now comes down the pit straight right now, and heading into turn 1. Braking, as you can see, Matt locking up the front tyre, but just managing to clip the curb on the right there. Through turn 2, very nicely, the car wiggles a little bit, but Matt able to keep that stable, going through turn 3. Now, going up to turn 4, braking just at the 100 metre board, braking down to 3rd gear, then picking up the power just at the middle of that right-hander. Now you're coming into the main bit, not the 2010 bit. Matt sets a pebble per sector, now coming through the S section of the course, and now braking into the hairpin, locking up a little bit on the front right, but making sure he clips the curve nicely there. Now coming into the trickiest part of the track, a double left-hander. You have to brake and steer at the same time, which is not what the car really likes. But Matt cutting it just a little bit, but not gaining too much time, and as a result it cost him just a little bit of time, as you can see on his delta there. Now down the support pit straight, he's up into 7th gear, now up to 8th, braking down to 4 for the first corner of the support pit straight. As you can see, turning in a little bit earlier just to try and make sure he gets the car turned in. The Williams is not the best when it comes to steering, but not bad either. Now approaching the second to last corner, he took the third to last corner flat out, losing the back end of the exit of the second to last corner, but still a green delta time indeed, as he now approaches the final corner, as he's up to 8th gear, breaking down to 3rd gear, round the final corner, clipping the curve on the right, nice and balanced out the corner, and that is a lap of the Bahrain International Circuit in Sakhir, Bahrain. So that was a lap with Matt Orange. Now let's have a look at the grid for today's race. It's Robert Hunter who starts on pole, with Sean Grant in 2nd place, making an all Red Bull lockout on the front row. Matthew Dummer is in 3rd, with defending champion Matt Orange in 4th. It's Cameron Anderson who starts 5th, with Joseph Willows in 6th position. Jake Shute is in 7th, with Jordan Wilson in 8th. Ollie Glazebrook, after a crash, which we'll get into later on in this programme, starts 9th, with Jake Walmsley in 10th. Tyrone Reynolds, the new guy, and the Renault is in 11th, with Extreme KTB, the new guy in the Manor, 12th, although in this race he's in Salva because he couldn't get into the Manor in time. So we've got 12 starters today. So which drivers pique your interest in that grid, and which ones will you be keeping a lookout on?
Well, I would look at the manner of Jordan Wilson. He's consistently had a very good position in the last race, and now he starts in a really good position on the grid as well. A Red Bull lockout is something they'll really be looking for, and that was a fantastic performance. Ferrari up in 3rd as well, and obviously you're going to be looking at Willows and Glazebrook down in the lower positions to make their way through the field.
Absolutely. I think one of the guys I'm looking at pretty much is probably how Glazebrook's going to make it up from 9th. It will be interesting to see how the championship leader can make it up and see how far he can get into this race. Well, that's how we see it. Well, let's find out, shall we? So without further ado, let's get to the Bahrain Grand Prix. It's race time here in Bahrain, round 2 of the championship, and it is looking like a great race indeed. It's JWF1 and OTGX Gaming as your commentators, and what are the challenges around this track?
Well, it's a very difficult track. Obviously, the fact it's dark is a very difficult thing as well, but turn 9 is going to be the ultimate test for these drivers. We've got some great turns ahead of us. We've got 15 corners in total, and it's going to be 14 laps of pure action, 2 DRS detection zones. It's going to be a case of whoever can make this track perform the best for them is going to make sure that they can get them tyres working up to temperature and win this Grand Prix.
Absolutely. So the POVs we've got today are Matt Orange, Joseph Willows, Jordan Wilson, Ollie Glazebrook, and Tyan Reynolds, a new guy who's in 11th position. So here we go then. We go to 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and we are away in Bahrain. And look at Ollie Glazebrook. He's actually shot off into the lead of the race. Now we're riding on board with Joseph Willows as he gets a great start there. And a safety car's been deployed already. Joseph Willows and Extreme KTV make contact at the start. Wow. That is one way to kick off the Grand Prix, that's for sure. And already a drive-through penalty has been given for Joseph Willows. As mentioned, the safety car has been deployed for the first time since Season 1. And wow, what a chaotic start. I'll be interested to see who caused the safety car, because it happened just before Joseph and Extreme made their contact.
Yeah, for Extreme and Joseph, it's a very difficult start as he continues to spin here, but luckily for him, the safety car has been deployed. It's a very, very strange start. A great start from the Ferrari, who absolutely shot off. If you notice there, though, from Hunter, he did cut in front of him, which may have been one of the reasons, but as Willows is definitely struggling on these tyres and with no front wing. But yeah, it was a very good start. It was a strange one as well. It'll be interesting to see what happened with the starts. A few cars, I believe, as well. That is Jordan Wilson, as we're going to get a replay here. It looked like Jordan Wilson, they didn't get off the start. So if you look, yeah, he didn't get off. And look, oh yeah, so weird one there. Some cars just didn't get away, whether or not there was some from a different one. There you see Hunter as well turning in on Glazebrook, but yeah, he has to give back a few positions there, and I think he's going to slot himself into 6th. So a very, very strange start, a start that the Ferraris will be mildly happy with. But you can see now as they try and make their way through, it's a very odd start, but a very, very different one. And as you say, we have our first safety car of the season, and it'll be interesting to see now what split strategies we get. So here we have Wilson ready. His 5 lights go off. And it just seems the lights don't go off for him, and he gets disqualified straight away. So
that might be the reason why the safety car's out. Might be the actual reason.
Yeah, it could well be. So this is really strange. Well, you see there, Willows and Extreme just going off. So he pulls off to one side there, goes Jordan Wilson. And I think a similar thing happened to Jake Shute as well. And here we are on board with Matthew Orange, the defending champion, and 5 lights go up for him. And you'll probably see now the Ferrari. There he goes, straight down the right-hand side. A great start, very cheeky there from Hunter. That could have ended very, very badly indeed. As Glazebrook sharply brakes, great driving from Orange there, as Glazebrook tries to get everyone through. But that is a very chaotic start. So we'll be seeing how everyone can get their tyres, and if anyone's going to pit early, obviously with the front wing damage, a few cars are going to have to try and make a set of either hard or mediums last a heck of a long way.
Absolutely, and I think I also saw in the background as well, I don't know if you just saw in Matt's mirror there, but it also looked like that Tyan also got a good start, a new guy. In fact, we're riding on board with him right now, let's see. Yeah, he pretty much, like Walmsley and Glazebrook, also had the start that those two had. I wonder if it's some sort of glitch on F1 2016. I mean, some people have been having the same glitch as what happened on, I'm trying to think what it was, F1 2013 or 2012, where some people went off before others' lights went off. So kind of a similar glitch that we saw there, and you just saw in the mirrors there Extreme and Joseph Willows. I don't know who caused that, to be honest. Maybe that's something that the stewards have to look at. But now, as you can see, the safety car is still out on track. But as you can see, we've already got some pit action coming. Ollie Glazebrook pitting. I think you just seen on his minimap as Tyan ghosts right through him there. Luckily, it ghosted before he could hit the back of him there. But I think you just saw on Glazebrook's front wing, he hasn't to change it because he had because a lot of his end plate came off as well. So that could explain why he's also in.
Yeah, it was a very, very it was the right decision for the Ferrari and the Renault team. A very late braking move there from Reynolds. If it wasn't for the ghost, he would have probably caused himself some more damage and maybe an accident there. But it's there we go. You're going to see a couple of cars, but for some reason Reynolds comes out on soft tyres as well as also comes in for soft. So it looks like they're going to make one more stop. Glazebrook coming in for medium, so maybe he's going to make it last in the race. But the tyre wear around here is very, very difficult. It's going to be an interesting one to see the split strategies, but Willows comes out in P8. The biggest winners from that, you would have originally thought, were Glazebrook and Reynolds, but after they pit, it's whether or not, I think for Reynolds, it's a very strange decision to go onto the soft tyres, but now it's just going to be an interesting case as we are about to come in for the safety car, I believe, as they got up to Rich. Here we go. We're going back racing now. Anderson taking a very weird line there, corner cutting. Needs to keep an eye on that. He did a little bit in the last race. DRS has been enabled now. Here we go, down the straight, on the board with the Ferrari. He's going to go up the inside of the Toro Rosso. Medium tyres versus super softs. That Ferrari showing some great straight line speed. Up the inside, maxing out, 8th gear, brakes late. Whoa, Orange then cuts in front of him. And that is a very, very bad move there from Orange. He's just cut in front of him as Sean goes, and there we have contact between the Toro Rosso, just squeezing him out of room. I think that's a racing incident, but there Orange has caused a bit of a front wing loss, as we're going to get a replay now on board with Orange.
Yeah, I think this is what's going to happen. I think you just saw what happened with Sean, you see there, he did it on his own accord, really. Clipped on the curve and then just lost the back end. I think Ollie had the same thing as well, which is why he ran into the side of Cameron. And I do think, agreeing with you as well, I think that was a racing incident. Now we're going to have a look from Tyron Reynolds. Whilst he was fighting with Joseph Willis, like these two were having a bit of a ding-dong down the straight. But he also got a view of what happened with the spin. There you go, look. And ooh, that was close there. So lucky he didn't crash into Ollie Glazebrook there. I don't know why he was looking backwards. Maybe he was trying to keep an eye on what Joseph was doing, because obviously these two were battling now. But now we're going to have a look at from Joseph Willis' point of view. And there you go, look. There's a little bit of contact down there that we see from Ollie Glazebrook. So while these two are battling, you can see there's the contact initially happening. And it's a good job that Joseph actually went wide, because if you think about it, if he'd seen that Ollie was pulling out, I think that could have ended in complete disaster. So it's a good job that Joseph took avoiding action when he could. Meantime now, looks like now Matt, as a result of Sean, he's up into third position, and now it looks like he, Cameron, and I think Sean, trying to get back into it, are trying to get into the fight with Dummer, as they now just come around this right-hander now. And as you can see, that's not a very good line from Dummer. It looked like he took that a lot slower than Orange, and Orange is able to take advantage of that and pass him down into the second to last corner. And now Orange has placed his turn into second place, but he's got to keep an eye on Anderson, who's right on the back of him.
Yeah, it was a very strange one there. As we go back to the Willows incident, as they go side by side again, he does take a bit of a liberty there with the track limits, but Glazebrook there, racing instincts, goes straight up the inside, dispatching of Willows nice and easily now, and he's going to have his eyes set on Reynolds, as now absolute great straight line speed. That is very, very reckless there from Reynolds. Very lucky the Ferrari hasn't been crashed. He outbrakes himself there as well. This is not good racing. So far there, he's just completely gone and made multiple manoeuvres. It'll be interesting to see what it was like on his point of view, if he purposely done it or he just didn't see him or it was lag or something. But yeah, track limits on this race so far seem to be taken advantage of by these drivers. Willows has done it, Orange has done it, and Anderson's done it. So maybe something will need to be done and words will be had. But yeah, it's not what you want to see, but so far some good racing and a good battle going on at the moment for even second, but you have to give into consideration there as Reynolds just dives it up the inside. This again, very reckless. There's no need for it. You know you haven't got the pace, and it looks like now they're going to go side by side, unwanted, and Glazebrook just gets back as he goes for it again. This is very, very reckless from Reynolds. He shouldn't be doing this. You don't just dive it up the inside because you think you have a line, as now we're on board with Willows as he comes in for his drive-through penalty, comes into the first corner, completely misses his braking zone there, goes over the bar. That's going to damage his suspension. But yeah, you've got to mention though, before anything else, Hunter has absolutely pulled away. A track he's very good at and showed great class at, and he is pulling away in the lead. Now back on board with Pit Matt.
Absolutely, and coming on to Hunter, it just showed that Red Bull's got some truly great pace, as Extreme's been disqualified from the race for some reason, so he's now out of the race. We're now down to 10 runners, and as I was saying, it just showed that how the Red Bulls were able to get on the front row. Sorry, it's 9 runners actually. There was 10 cars before Extreme got disqualified. I do apologise. And it seems that it's happened down the pit straight. Now, around the last corner, we're right on board with Matt Orange, as there's the yellow flag to clear out Extreme, and he's actually going to be diving into the pits. Now, he wasn't one of the guys that came in earlier on in the race, so he's now having to pit now in the middle of this race. And he's even joined by Cameron Anderson, so it looks like we're going to have a little bit of a pit stop battle between the Williams mechanics and the Toro Rosso mechanics.
Yeah, if you didn't notice there as well, Glazebrook moves up into second, so unless he's planning on pitting again, he has actually moved up into second. I'd assume no on medium tyres, you'd expect him to go for it again. It would be a surprise if he didn't pit, of course. It's not an optimal strategy. I've never seen anyone make a set of mediums last that long. And if you haven't noticed as well, Anderson has moved ahead of Orange in the pit stops as well, so that's a fantastic jump from them. As now Willows,
yeah, I can actually explain why. Actually, sorry to interrupt you. It's because at the beginning of the race, I'm not sure if anyone noticed, Matt actually got a 5-second stop go for what happened at the start for some strange reason with Cameron. There was apparently some contact between them. Whether the game picked that up, I don't know. But either way, he had to stop for 5 seconds, and that's why Cameron's now in front of him. Now we're running more with Joseph Willows, and not really a surprise, really. He lets his teammate go. He realises he's not in the same race. Willows not having the best of races so far, pretty much a replica of what he did in Australia, and, well, pretty much Willows is probably going to have to settle in for the rest of this race, I presume.
Yeah, good teamwork. You saw a similar thing in Australia between the two Ferraris when Dummer and Ballboy were close to Dummer and Moron, were close to each other, and Dummer just let his teammate go through. Now Willows has got Sean Grant all over the back of him. He's locking up like a treat, 54%. He's going to have to pit again, and there goes Grant. Just better traction on their medium tyres. Zooms past with DRS, P6 for Sean Grant, P7 for Willows, and next behind him is Dummer. So I'm not sure whether he's going to be able to catch. I'm not sure if he is quite close as both of them go wide. I mention it again, the track limit's being exceeded. Maybe words will need to be had. It's not the performances you want to see. Nobody wants to have track limits there. But now you have Glazebrook. He's now taken provisional lead. And just to take into consideration, Bobby Hunter has just made a set of super soft tyres last until lap 8. He comes out provisional lead. We're expecting to pit again, so it's a good job on the medium tyres to see if he can hold on to them. As Reynolds also comes into pits, he moves down to 4th, now 5th. I think, is he going to be able to get out ahead of Grant? Here comes Grant. So no, he won't come ahead of Grant, but will the battle between Willows and Reynolds continue? I don't think so, because Willows looks like he's pit behind as well. But here comes Dummer. Reynolds versus Dummer. Is the Ferrari going to have the straight line speed as Jake Wormsley DNFs? And there we go, Reynolds out braking himself. This will give Dummer a better exit out of the corner now. He's taken a very good line there. As we just cut straight on. As the battle gets intense, we cut on to Willows, who has had to pit for a set of super soft tyres. So clearly his tyres were struggling there with a 2.532 second pit stop now. So Willows down in the provisional 8th. Last place in the race, technically, considering the runners. But now we have the battle between Reynolds and Dummer now. Obviously, of course, you would expect the Renault not having the same pace as the Ferrari. But the super soft tyres maybe could counteract that, as Dummer there goes straight into the back of Reynolds. He showed this last time. He does become a bit reckless when it comes to attacking, and there was no need for it, as he's now slowing down Reynolds, I believe, to let him past. So maybe Reynolds thought that was it was his fault or something, but it was a strange one there. So Dummer very lucky, but he's a bit weavy there, so Dummer does need to be a bit more careful on his track limits once again. I'll mention it again as he locks up there, Reynolds. But yeah, track limits being exceeded and Dummer getting a free spot. As I'll just mention it one more time, Reynolds does have a drive-through penalty. Track limits seem to be being abused at the moment by the drivers, not something you want to be seeing.
Absolutely not, and it did look weird why he would let him through. Maybe he felt like he didn't get on the power as soon as he would have wanted to, and as a result, that's why Dummer ran into the back of him. But it looks like Reynolds is going to actually try and attack him again. Look at the straight line speed. You'd think that this is a slower car, for God's sake, but clearly it's able to counteract it down the straight. He was able to catch him up down in the straight, and these two look like they're going to be battling for quite a while, it seems. This is pretty impressive stuff from the rookie.
Yeah, it is. It's lovely stuff, and you can see the Ferrari's now struggling. It's undecided, but we did see earlier that Reynolds has some questionable attacking and defending manoeuvres, but he goes around the outside. Good defensive manoeuvre there from Dummer. He holds the traction as again, track limits being exceeded. Come on, guys, I don't like this. Now, it's a great exit from Reynolds. Track limits again, up the inside. Is he going to dive it? Similar to what he did with Glazebrook, but Dummer holds it round the outside. Side-by-side action now, coming up to the infamous left-hander. There's going to be lockups, I reckon, from Reynolds. I can see it with his already locking up at most corners. No, he's held it nicely. Credit where it's due. He's going to have DRS now on this straight, but the Ferrari just pulls away with the extra traction out of that corner. DRS doesn't seem to have enough. If he can hold in that DRS zone now for the straight, though, he might be able to mount another attack going into the into lap 11. But yeah, very good performance. As there Dummer goes, he crashes. Oh, very, very close, as Hunter says, the fastest lap. Very, very close. And again, there goes Dummer. Track limits. Maybe Joe, the stewards will be having a word. As again, track limits. Maybe his tyres are destroyed, but them track limits are just being battered at the moment. As they go side by side again, going into the corner. Dummer backs out of it, as he goes out. So obviously Reynolds now will have to serve his drive-through penalty this lap. It's not something he wants as he goes into the pits, and Dummer's probably going to be thinking right now, was there any need, as he gets a penalty for speeding? We saw this last time with Willows and Glazebrook. He gets a penalty for speeding, and Dummer will probably be feeling a little bit annoyed that he's had to battle and work his tyres all for someone to have a drive-through.
Maybe, I'm trying to think now, coming into the second last corner, maybe he was trying to avoid Reynolds from crashing into the back of him, because it was clear that the Ferrari seems to have better traction compared to the Renault, because obviously we know that the Renault has a little bit of a chassis disadvantage. But now Tyan has finished his drive-through penalty, and he rejoins in 8th position, so that's effectively last, because there's now only 8 runners because of Petrohead's retirement. And yeah, so pretty much that's how that's how I see it at the moment. Now we skip to lap 12, where Ollie Glazebrook is leading the race right now, and look at this, Hunter's all over the backside of him. Hunter on them super soft tyres has managed to catch him off, as now Hamilton F1 driver, Tyan Reynolds, has been disqualified. He must have been speeding in the pit lane again, so I'm going to guess that's why he got the drive-through penalty the first time around. Maybe he didn't slow down enough in time, but either way, that's not how he wanted to start his first race in IF1C. Now look at these two battling it out for the lead of this race. You can just see on the little thing on the right there, it looks like Ollie's got a little bit of front wing damage right now, which is why Hunter's taking advantage of it. I mean, we obviously know that the Red Bull is best in the corners, but clearly it's getting a lot more than what it would do usually if Ollie was running a front wing. Now, coming down the straight, Hunter will have DRS. Will he be able to take the lead back off Ollie Glazebrook? It looks like Glazebrook is going to go to the end of this race, so he's played this strategically, but clearly not enough to probably take the win, because now Hunter down the inside, going into turn 1. Is Hunter going to take the lead? He looks like he's got the edge into turn 1, down the inside, and yes he can. Hunter takes the lead of the Bahrain Grand Prix yet again. It's surprising, because honestly, I honestly thought that Glazebrook would usually do what he did in season 1, which was pretty much find a gap down the inside into turn 1 and pretty much get the position back. That's his infamous corner, but clearly Hunter was still side by side with him. Obviously Ollie couldn't perform that.
Yeah, it seemed very easy, but I am hearing in my ear that Hunter hasn't used the mandatory tyre, and he's come into the pits on lap 13. Maybe the engineer was in his ear telling him that was that news, but Hunter pits on the penultimate lap for a set of tyres. That will bring in Anderson and Orange into this race. So Glazebrook has made a set of medium tyres last pretty much the entirety of the Grand Prix. I thought like it looked a little bit too easy. Maybe there was something saying don't battle him, save the tyres. It was 73% as they now go into the corner. Orange taking the outside line. There goes Anderson, takes a deep line, forcing him off the track. Track limits, lads, come on. Takes the corner nicely. Orange though getting a poor exit, which means Anderson gets a better exit out of the corner now. Last lap battling. Here we go, side by side. This is for second position. This could be a fantastic performance once again for the Toro Rosso. Going into the corner. Great line there from Orange. He's done a fantastic job now as he squeezes him out of room. Going through the S's now. Track limits, lads. Come on. Takes that corner. Lovely. Rich fuel mixture. He's got some fuel to burn now. But Anderson has the fresher tyres. But now, Joe, I'll hand it over to you.
Absolutely, coming around the final corner, and well, after an amazing comeback from 9th on the grid, it's 2 in a row. Ollie Glazebrook wins the Bahrain Grand Prix. A great drive from him, a brilliant comeback from the championship leader and the season 1 champion as well. Matt Orange is going to cross the line in 2nd place. A great pass on Cameron there to secure 2nd place in this race. Anderson crosses the line 3rd. Hunter actually caught them up in the end. He finishes in 4th on the set of soft tyres, so obviously he was able to push him towards on the last lap, of course, to get on to the back of Anderson. It does show the pace of that Red Bull. Hunter could be a threat this season. Dummer crosses the line in 5th position, and now, in fact, that's weird, because why was Dummer 5th? Well, look in front. Sean has got a puncher on the last lap, and that has given Willows 6th position. So Willows is going to cross the line in 6th, and Grant is going to cross the line in 7th place with a puncher. What a shame for Sean. Some valuable points have been slipped through his fingers. And well, clearly pushing them tyres a little bit too hard. This track has been known to wear out your tyres quite a lot, and clearly Sean paid the price. So, after all of that, here are the results of today's race. Ollie Glazebrook won the race with Matt Orange in 2nd place. It is Cameron Anderson 3rd, with Robert Hunter 4th, Matthew Dummer 5th, Joseph Willows 6th, and Sean, the last finisher, in 7th. Walmsley, Wilson retired in the end, as did Jake Shute at the start as well. I wonder if he had the same issue as Jordan Wilson. The disqualifications came from Tyan Reynolds and Extreme KTB, with Michael Moron and Waze Cuba unfortunately not able to take the start due to issues with their internet. In the Drivers' Championship, Glazebrook increases his lead, with Matt Orange moving up into 2nd place, and the rest follows with Jordan dropping all the way down the field after a brilliant Australian Grand Prix, and sadly, after that retirement, he's now dropped down the field. In the Constructors, Ferrari increased their lead, Williams move up into 2nd place, and Toro Rosso are in 3rd. So, that is it from Bahrain. It's been a very interesting race. Now, before we go, we need some incidents, especially a main one that happened in qualifying. OTG, can you explain what happened?
Well, what happened, Joe, was during a qualifying session, going through the infamous S's, a set of corners is very difficult. Glazebrook was on his in lap and Sean Grant was on a hot lap. Now, going into the corner, Sean Grant has actually cut the corner and taken out Glazebrook, which is why he qualified down in P9. Now, Sean Grant, what he's done basically, he's gone into the corner, and yes, you could easily say that both drivers were in the wrong. Glazebrook was on the racing line when he wasn't on a lap. but Sean Grant cut corners and took out Glazebrook and ruined his session, and Grant actually ended up finishing second in the session anyway. So the stewards are going to be looking into it. We'll find out shortly, probably from Joe, who's probably got response of the issue and the punishment that was in hand. But it was a very weird situation. To be fair, both were at fault, but Sean maybe should have pulled out of it, and what it's ended up in is somebody's race almost being ruined, but the Ferrari driver was able to salvage something out of that Grand Prix and actually picked up a very good performance and made them tyres work lovely.
Absolutely, and in fact I've actually got the conclusion to that. So as a result of that, the stewards concluded that Sean should have backed out of it. Even if he was on a lap, he should have backed out just to avoid the accident, and as a result he's been given a back of the grid penalty for the next race. So unfortunately he's going to have to do a lot of work to do next time around. The incident between Extreme KTB and Joseph was, the stewards took no further action as they could not conclude whose fault it was. It was hard to see from anyone's perspective. The one between Cameron and Ollie, that was concluded to be just a racing incident, as we mentioned during the race. Tyron Reynolds has been giving a very heavy warning for his weaving during the race and continuous slowing down during the straights. So they concluded that for some reason he was lifting during some of the straights when he shouldn't have been, and also the weaving that he did on Glazebrook and a couple of others like with Dummer. The stewards felt he needed a telling off for that. So if he does it again, he's going to get a further punishment. And that's it, I think. Yes, it is. So, thank you to everyone who's been watching. It's been a thoroughly entertaining race. I don't think it was as entertaining as Australia, was it, OTJ, in your opinion?
No, it was less side-by-side action and more strategy. You noticed from Glazebrook winning the race, it was a strategic thing, and there was no side-by-side battling. Really, you had the incident. You had the battles between Hamilton and Dummer. You had Reynolds and Dummer. You had Willows and Reynolds. You had Grant making his way through the field a few times. You had Anderson and Orange, which just seemed to go back and forward and was ended on the final lap. And it was a very strategy-based track. It always has been. Whoever can manage their tyres the best always comes out with the best performances. So, yeah, it was I would still put Australia at the top, but I'm very excited to see what Sochi's like. No tyre wear issues there. It's just going to be about who is the quickest round the Sochi track.
Absolutely, and that is the next race. The next race, round 3 of the championship, taking place at the Russian Grand Prix in Sochi. It's going to be a very interesting one. But anywho, that has been it. I've been JWF1. He's been OTGX Gaming. Any final words?
Well, as I said last week, I'm looking forward to Sochi, but I'm also looking forward to seeing the pace of Robert Hunter. If his pace anything by what he had at Bahrain, he could well have another very, very good session here next week at Sochi. So yeah, we'll be keeping an eye on that. But my final word is track limits, lads. Come on, let's keep to them track limits.
Absolutely, we don't like them at all. Well, for me and OTG, it's goodbye, and we will see you at Sochi.